Everyone deserves access to enough food and nutrition, but sadly, there is still a massive amount of people who are unfed. Almost 90% of Nigerian farmers still experience some level of food insecurity.
Amma sakamakon yanzu Allah ya taimake ni, abokina ya kira ni ya nuna min roman ita wannan kamfani na Apes.
My name is Shotunde Abiodun. I'm the area sales manager for Apex Katsina State, and currently we are here in Dandume local government in one of our warehouses in Dandume.
To achieve the SDG 2, which is zero hunger, we aim to take Africa to a place where it can feed itself. And how do we do this? We invest in farmers, we teach them the best agronomical practices, and we provide them with input to increase their yield and to improve their livelihoods.
What we have been doing actually is helping the farmers all around the communities in Katsina. By we give them inputs to farm, we give them fertilizers, we give them agrochemicals, we give them hybrid seeds that are genetically improved to give more harvest and to resist both pests and diseases. And what this has done in turn is to increase their productivity. A farmer that's been getting probably 10 bags from an hectare can now get 20 bags, harvest 20 bags from the same hectare. And it has in turn made the inputs readily available to the farmers. We bring it down to them so they don't have to go in search looking for it.
Sunana Misani, na kasance mai ainihin tarayya da mutanen da ke da kamfanin Apes, wanda da farko muna yin kasuwanci da waɗansu kamfanonin ba Apes ba. So zuwan Apes ya sa mun koma muna tarayya da su saboda waɗansu abubuwa da muka fahimta muhimmai tare da su.
And what this has done in a broad scope is to increase the food productivity in every level, cutting across the local governments in Katsina here. We have been able to increase their food production, which in turn has reduced hunger because there is now more food for everybody to eat. There is more maize, there's more soya, there's more sorghum, and these are the basic staple food around this area that farmers eat.
Sunana Malam Aminu Ibrahim, ina noma kawar buhu 30-40 a da, amma sakamakon yanzu Allah ya taimake ni, abokina ya kira ni ya nuna min roman ita wannan kamfani na Apes, na dawo na jona da su, sakamakon haka na samu profitable, uncountable ma. Apes idan ka zo za ka sai da kayanka ba kawai za ka kirga buhuna ba ne ka sai da a ce an saya buhu kaza. Idan sun zo za su ɗauka kayanka za a auna abin da awo ya bayar, wani buhu za ka ga cewa za ka iya samun 5 kg a sama, wani kuma za ka samu 3 ko 2 da ya danganta da yadda kai ka ɗura buhunka. Waɗannan kgs ɗin da suka hau a sama, Apes ba za su riƙe su ba, za su fulosin maka da sauran buhunan da kake da shi kuma za su biya ka.
Our mission is to ensure continuous availability of commodities all year round. So we've built structured markets to facilitate farmers' access to finance and quality inputs.
The sustainable
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the United Nations International. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon to the United Nations International Youth Day. The webinar is organized by ComX, the Enterprise Development Center. International Youth Day is aimed at promoting the involvement of youth in the agribusiness space. It's also organized to correct about agriculture, enlighten users can be harnessed and through agriculture, and also make a agriculture and food value chain. The theme for transforming food systems, youth innovation and planetary health. This webinar future young agribusiness who will be joining us on this call and sharing their insights with us. Wondering what ComX means? ComX is affects Nigeria's digital platform for trade ease. It enables investors to have an investment options while catering to the risk. Welcome once again. Just before we get started, if you have any questions, chat box, I'll bring them up during the presentation. And webinar, we would have time for question and answers. We have 4 wonderful panelists: Paul Lawani, Aisha Rahim Bolare, Ayodeji Arikawe, and Angel. Thank you very much, our panelists, for joining us on this call. Today, they will be discussing in the agricultural sector. They will also be sharing us insights on how we can contribute to transformations in Nigeria. And they'll also be sharing with us innovative they know about or have employed during the course of their work. Before we introduce the panelists, I would like to read their bios. We have on our list, the first panelist, Aisha Rahim, the CEO of Farms to You. She's the co-founder of Farms to You, a digital platform that prevents food waste by helping farmers plan their crops. Aisha is an economics graduate from Queen's Mary University of London, and she cut her teeth in business consulting and strategy in a variety of firms in London. Angel Adelaja, Dr. Angel Adelaja is a special advisor on agriculture to the Ogun State government. She's a development consultant and an entrepreneur, popularly known as Miss Green Farming or the City Farmer, who wants to change how agriculture is perceived. She's the founder and CEO of Fresh Direct Produce and Agro-Allied Services, Fresh Direct Nigeria, an urban farming and agtech company in Abuja, Nigeria. Fresh Direct Nigeria brings fresh premium organic produce closer to the market with its stackable container farms. The company brings together communities and technology, focusing on engaging youth in agriculture. Angel, through her consultancies, she formulates inclusive growth strategies for governments and organizations. She's currently the Senior Special Advisor on Agriculture to the Governor of Ogun State, where she's championing programs like Ogun State's Tomato and Chili Pepper Empowerment Program, TomaPep, for women and youths, Ogun Access to Agricultural Finance Training, State Agricultural Technology Lab, and many others. Angel also serves on the advisory board of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Goalkeepers Program. She's an MIT Silver, a World Economic Forum Global Shaper alumnus, and a mentor to aspiring young entrepreneurs. We also have on the panel list Ayodeji Arikawe. He attended Covenant University where he studied computer engineering, and he met his co-founder then in school. They together built several businesses on campus, and upon graduation, worked on a company providing access to markets for farmers. In 2017, they piloted Thrive Agric, a platform that connects farmers to finance, best practices, and markets upon harvest. Since launching in June 2017, they have worked with over 200,000 farmers across 21 states, a team of 1,200 people with 300 warehouses across the country. Ayo is an alumni of Y Combinator, Google Launchpad, and Wayra by Telefonica. He's one of the top 10 in Jack Ma African Netpreneur Prize and YTech 100 recipients by the Future Awards Africa. I loves reading, observing nature, and building new products. Panelist is Ladipo Lawani, CEO of Mr. Ekpa. Ladipo is a sales professional with over 10 years experience. He is the founder of a snack company in Nigeria called L&L Foods. Manufactures a brand of granola called Miss Peanuts, which is sold in 1,000 stores nationwide. He has held roles in trade marketing, business development, direct sales. Ladipo as an several awards and recognitions, including the Forbes under 30 mention, the Sound City of the Year Award in 2018, winner of the Nigerian Startup Pitch Competition in 2017, the Columbia Business School Startup Competition 16. Ladipo graduated with an MBA Business School in New York and got his bachelor's at Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois. Also a FINRA licensed financial with a Series 7 and Series. At the end of the panel presentation by the Enterprise Development Center by you. The Enterprise Development Center is the entrepreneurship center of the University. The center emerged as a direct response to the professionals in the country. The Agro-Hack Challenge, so organized by the center, 6 innovative ideas that and food sector more efficient and sustainable. Everyone once again to this webinar, and also, so we'll be starting with Angel Adelaja. Welcome once again. Please, can you tell us the role you play in the agriculture? Also tell us how youth can friends in transforming the agricultural sector in Nigeria.
Sorry, can you please repeat that? It was.
Okay, thank you. Angel, can you tell in the agricultural sector and roles youth can play in transforming in Nigeria? I hope you got that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and happy International Youth Day. Youth have a big role to play. You can see some of the people on your panel here that have made so many strides across various agricultural value chains. For us, we see that youth are the now of agriculture. We always say youth are the future, they are the now. And so what you'll see looking for opportunities, the value chain, and finding out strategic ways to fill it. You also find that because young people are so innovative and creative, they start to look out have to be back support. So you also see Creative In or the CBN Anchor Bars program or CATS, where or even the Ask Me program, where you start to promote to young people who don't just want to farm or be farmers. They want to focus on agriculture and be agripreneurs. They want to engage in agribusiness. And so when you're able to create models and mechanisms like that they can leverage on, you see a lot more people engaging in agriculture. And I think also when you look at the areas that many are engaging in, you see a lot of young people engaging in poultry production, but not just poultry production. They're creating the technologies that help with sensors and automating your poultry houses. They're focused on value addition for beans. You look at companies like Bouvet's Pap. You look at companies like Captain's Ready Stew. They're finding creative solutions that are catchers, hardwares. When I started doing vertical farming technologies with hydroponics, and so there was nothing we could buy out there. We were the ones hacking our way through to create prototypes of hardwares that can be used. So youth have a big role to play. And I think because our generation looks at things a lot differently, many of us are strategically coordinating our businesses as social enterprises, but we're also making impact in our communities. A lot of us are also looking at the impacts of climate change in agriculture. We're engaging in it in a green and eco-friendly way. And so you see people looking at solar cold rooms, you see people looking at how to use renewable energy in agriculture, you look at peep culture. So there's so many opportunities that youth can engage in, from the management to processing to value addition to marketing, you name it, they're engaged. When it comes to biotechnology, when it comes to softwares, when it comes to hardwares, new innovations and things like that, even innovative models that can key in smallholder farmers. And I think you also see that the youth are the ones who are also making a way for smallholders to with them and work with them. And yes, agriculture is an amazing opportunity. And it's something that I think now, especially with COVID-19, a lot more youth are seeing the opportunity to enter into.
Hold on.
Thank you, Angel. Your network was breaking a bit, but I got a lot of what you said. One thing I will take from what you've said so far is that we're actually the now of agriculture, not just the future. And you mentioned quite a number of opportunities in technology that youths can actually play and be actively involved in. Thank you so much, Angel. My next question will be to Ladipo. Hello, Ladipo. Thank you once again for being a panelist on this webinar. My question to you will be your role in the agricultural sector and to tell us how youths can access resources to create innovative solutions for transforming food systems. I hope you got me very well. Yeah. Ladipo, over to you.
Thanks, Oluwatara. Yes, I got your question. So what we do is we're in the groundnut value chain, and essentially we're at the end of the chain. So we source, groundnuts from a network of farmers, and then we do everything, processing. So typically we get the groundnuts in the kernels, and then we process them into branded snacks. We have different flavors of groundnuts, so flour coated, sugar coated, salted, and sold through wholesale and retailers. But one of the things we found out was that when we got in, there was a lot of inefficiency across the value chain. So we then sort of had to play a coordinating role in some sense. So now we have a network of 2,000 farmers who are linked to our supply chain. So we train them, give them inputs, give them access to finance, and by doing so, help them improve their yield. And then we offtake. We're doing this in partnership with 2Scale. It's been a very rewarding project, but it's also empowered everybody across the value chain, ourselves included. In terms of financing, I think what I've sort of seen is before the question of financing, you have to address the question of viability. So typically, when businesses prove that they're viable, they usually find capital. I mean, granted, it's not necessarily easy, but the mistake is you don't want to try to look for capital before you've been able to ascertain the viability of what you're doing. And typically how that plays out is you want to figure out how to execute a pilot. So I think about ourselves, when we started our very first factory, the rent was 220,000 naira for the whole year. So it was literally a shop. And what we found was that for a lot of businesses, you pretty much can prove some level of viability, at a very small scale. So if it's farming that you're doing, what's the smallest plot size? How do you demonstrate yield? How do you demonstrate quality? How do you demonstrate that there's a market for what you're trying to do? Right. So I think, rather than thinking, how do I execute this large scale project, it's saying, what kind of evidence am I going to be able to show potential funders? And what is the minimum viable, scale or minimum viable product? Yeah, okay. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes, we can, but we can't see you. It seems your camera is closed.
Okay. I will turn it on just to make sure, because of network. Okay. So to the point I'm making is you need to be able to demonstrate the viability. Once you've done that, in a lot of cases, your first source of funding is friends and family. right? It's friends and family, your personal savings, because most SMEs don't really qualify for bank loans, right? I mean, banks aren't really into the business of taking risk with depository money. So once you can prove it either with your savings or with loans or equity investments from friends and family. So that's sort of one major source that startups are able to tap into. Another source is grants. So there are a lot of government projects that are meant to help SMEs, youth, a lot of youth SMEs. I know, for instance, Lagos State LSETF I believe their loan platform is open again. They were giving out up to 5 million. And so, you can look for grants, you can look for friends and family savings, and then sort of keep it small enough so that you can execute and gain momentum.
Okay, thank you so much, Ladipo.
Thanks.
Net glitch for some seconds, but Ayo, I hope you got me. Can I ask the question again? Hello, Ayo. Okay, so can you tell us your role in the agricultural sector and also tell us how youths can access resource solutions for transforming food systems? Ayo, over to you. Thank you.
Ayo, you're muted, so we can't hear you.
Anyway, I'm sorry, my bad. Darcy, just to be sure I got the question. Roles of youth in agriculture, and what was the second?
The second question is how youths can access resources to create innovative solutions for transforming food systems.
Then what was the first?
The first was your role in the agricultural sector.
Oh, okay. All right, awesome. Yeah. All right, thanks for having me here, by the way. So I was saying fun fact, and went to sat in the same class for 5 years. So glad to sit here with her also. I think definitely what we are trying to do is trying to figure out how we can get Africa to feed herself out of the world, which like to say is our vision. And the answer to that would be by onboarding largest number of farmers. So our goal is to get 10 million farmers across Africa in 4 years and ensure we can get them to be productive. And that means get them access to finance, get them best advice, their productivity is optimal, and then ensure they can sell to markets locally and globally. And I mean, still pretty early days for us. We're just on 200,000 farmers. And the goal is just ambitious to grow that number till we get there. We are leveraging technology to do that. So our field officers today, now about 1,000 of them, use our apps on their mobile devices, and they have like bikes. So they go within these communities, onboard farmers, and map their land, check things like seed spacing, germination analysis, and just ensure the farmers are doing great and can produce right. We collect that data, share with financial platforms, banks and the right, so they can online to the farmers and then eventually can just sell their produce. So that's our role. We think we consider ourselves to be in a platform where everyone can just plug in and be able to provide services to the farmer, and the farmers can derive value and then eventually just improve. So in terms of like just I think what youths can do in general, I think there's definitely lots of opportunities. I think as Ladipo had said, one of the things that I'm always an advocate for is just start. Because when people come to you and say, oh, what are you doing? Everyone has big dreams, so I want to do this, I want to do that. There's always that question of what have you done first? So is it basically, I've traveled to Benue and I put tomatoes inside my car and brought it to Lagos and sold it, right? Just some sort of traction, but you need to tell some sort of story. What have I done over the last couple of years? Have I sold anything? Have I been able to? I think for us, I'll give you a personal example. So when we started out, for our very first investor, we literally came into the meeting room with them from the farm. And so for them, that was just very impressive. Like, okay, you guys were waiting for investment to start. Like, you've actually just started out, regardless of whether anyone has backed you or not. And I think there'll always be that story of what have you done? What sort of proof of concept? What's your MVP? And I think there are definitely like a lot of low-hanging fruits. Today, there is Sterling Bank as the thing, Sway Finance. It's about 15 billion accessible to anyone. On Tribe's end today, we employ anyone in local communities and provide you work tools, smartphone, a bike, just be willing to do the hard work. I think there's opportunity things like post-harvest loss. So just being able to provide the thresher. Go to this community, the thresher, help the farmers with their rice, help the farmers with their maize. There's drones for spraying and fertilizer application. There's just so much. I feel like agriculture is like at the very, very early stage. Especially when you consider like the number of farmers and just what's accessible to them. I think people can look at opportunities majorly and look at financing opportunities. How can I be a farm aggregator? How can I be a farm aggregator? How can I onboard farmers? How can I ensure that I'm like that distribution channel from whoever wants access the farmers to the farmer? How can I provide extension services to the farmers? Basic things like how can I be farmer map his land? How can I even do soil tests? How can I provide him weather data? How can I get him inputs? Things like they need seeds, they need fertilizers in these communities. How can I put the farmers together in a collective and help them have higher bargaining power? Even on harvest too, providing basic machineries to ensure farmers can thresh, can transport their produce from one location to warehouses. So I think there's definitely like a lot people can do. We just need to be ready to fold our sleeves, get on the field, do like the minimum, right? And then go out there to tell the world, oh, this is what I've done, now I need support. And we'll definitely see like support. I think the government is also really doing amazing stuff. When you look at AXMIs, when you look at the Anchor Borrower program, there's just a lot of opportunities you can tap into. But I think, as I said, just get started and show like a proof of concept. And people can definitely then come in to say, how can we support you?
Thank you very much, Ayo. And thank you for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate that. I think my next question will be to Aisha. Aisha, thank you once again for joining the call. Please, can you tell us your role in the agricultural sector and also tell us the roles youth can play in transforming food systems in Nigeria? Aisha, over to you. Hello, Aisha, we can't hear you.
So it should be better now, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
So yeah, apologies for that. I work with a company called Farms to You, and we are a digital agricultural enterprise, and we provide farmers with digital extension services. So that's training on, how to farm, things like what variety of seedling should you grow, because often you find that farmers are growing the wrong seed variety. For instance, are you growing 544 rice or Jamila, what kind of rice are you growing? Because that then determines who are you selling to. So that's the first component of what we do, which is providing training, because easy access to training is not, there isn't easy access to training, it's often expensive, and government employed digital extension services often don't have the expertise to actually farmers on how best to grow. On the second side, we provide farmers with access to resources. So that includes access to affordable loans, high quality inputs, and a market to sell at the end of the harvest. So affordable loans, through our platform, a farmer can actually determine how much they need to grow a rice farm or a ginger farm. For instance, ginger is a lot more expensive to grow than is rice. And if they don't have enough capital, they can go through a short due diligence on our platform, and then we're able to create a lead and connect them with microfinance institutions to disburse the loans on our platform through a digital wallet. Now, through the platform, they're then able to transact. So that is, buying their high quality inputs like seeds, fertilizer on the platform, and then selling the finished product at the end of the harvest. So that's the space that we play in. I'm supported by a very capable team of agronomists, data scientists, and engineers that develop the product. We also work with the support ecosystem of academia, such as local universities like Lautech, as well as international institutions like Wageningen of Netherlands. In addition, research institutions are also a key component that we work with. So that's about the space I play in. In terms of what youth can do, I mean, it's very vast. We're only playing in the production space, which is essentially farming. And we have a focus on smallholder farmers within the ages of 18 to 35, because the average farmer age being 65 is not sustainable. So we're creating we're using our platform to create a community of young farmers that have easy access to the information to farm optimally, as well as the resources to achieve that profitably as well. So there's no, I suppose, of course, youth can play in the production space where we currently operate. You can be a farmer, you can be a tractor service operator, you could be a tractor owner, you could be in the processing space where you're converting ginger, for instance, to snacks. You have products like real fruits, you have chocolate products like Dune as well. And of course, you can play in the export space. It's very vast. So it really depends on what the person's interests are and what they seek to do. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Aisha. I really appreciate your contribution. We have some questions in the chat box. One I can see here is to Ayo. Ayo, can you share how rural youths can benefit from your activities? How do rural youth benefit from your activities? Do you also work in all the states of the Federation, or there are some selected states where you work in? Thank
you. Yeah, thanks for that question. You definitely can be part of our field officers or in any of our warehouse locations. So as I said, we have about 1,000 of those guys spread across our locations. So we're always recruiting, essentially. So that's how we're leveraging them. That's even how we're able to work with farmers. Yeah, so there's a big opportunities. We're also always looking for service providers, as I said. So I mean, if you're coming to community, you offer threshing services, you offer transportation services, and whatever, we're happy to work with you on any of those concepts.
Okay, thank you very much. My next question will be to Angel Adilaja. Angel, please, can you share with us how you've been able to integrate new technologies into your farming practices, and how youth can also implement that in their agricultural practice? to speak more on bringing new innovations and technology in your agribusiness. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Like I said earlier, what I do is vertical and hydroponic farming, so soilless farming. And when we started, it was really a way for us to find a solution to some of the issues we were facing in terms of getting as close to market as possible, and also for us to be able to try to maximize our space. So with vertical farming, what we focused on was trying to make sure that we would turn urban spaces into areas that we can produce fresh produce, the most perishable produce. We also try to make sure that young people can have access to those spaces as well. And you'll find that the same way the rural youth are looking for opportunities, you see them leaving the rural areas and coming to the urban areas to also look for opportunities. And with COVID-19, you even find that when they're in the urban areas, they'll still leave and go back to the rural areas now because they're seeing agriculture as an option. So what we try to do is leverage on vertical technologies. And these are things that is very simple to produce. You just need to be able to put together some piping, maybe you can have a welder, things like that, and you can start producing in your backyard, on your balcony, in your closet. I think the more people start to embrace controlled environment agriculture, the more you'll start to see creative ways in producing and growing your food. And then you can now start to focus on a food system that lets the most perishable things be produced in urban areas and leaves the things that need lots of land, that also need lots of time to grow, to be done in the rural areas. So when you start to think of having a more robust food system, you start to look at where are the producers? Must all the producers be in rural areas? Can we create opportunities for young people in the urban areas? And this goes beyond just the primary production. We grow leafy greens, tomatoes, cucumbers, and a variety of veggies. And we sell to high-end buyers. But there's also the opportunity for aggregation. So we also serve as an aggregation spot because of the fact that where our location is, people can come, bring their produce, process their products, wash, package them for onward sales. We have a group called the Urban Farmers Network in Abuja, and it's a network of about 200 individuals who come together to promote farming in urban spaces and farming hyper locally. So I think that's a whole area that we tend not to focus on, but it's also an area where we can also start to fill the gap and meet the needs of our food system by making sure that we pay attention to. And of course, innovation does not just end with urban agriculture or hydroponic farming. There are we have the Agricultural Technology and Innovation Lab in Ogun State, and we just want to be an ecosystem for people to be able to key into use of agricultural technologies, creation of agricultural technologies, and dissemination of information. So it's a nexus where research and development companies, farmers themselves, the ag tech companies, the agribusinesses, commercial producers can all come together and come to solve problems. And you'll find that if you leave R&D to just the academic institutions, you see that those remain on the shelf. But when you give young people the opportunity, especially young graduates, the opportunity to innovate and commercialize that research, you find that it goes a long way. I think this is something that IITA has done a great job in doing. And it's the direction that most states should try to create that ecosystem for. In addition to that, I think someone mentioned, I think in the comment section, that, all the rural youth, they don't have access to a lot of opportunities. And that is true. What we find is that there's a lot of barriers when it comes to access to finance, because if you don't have, like some of the other panelists said, if you don't have proof of your finances, if you've not been able to show your income, if you've not been able to show what you've been able to do in agriculture, it's going to be very, very hard for a bank to finance you. But that's where you have the youth who become a vehicle to empower the youth who cannot. So for example, you have young people like on the panel who create technologies or who create opportunities or models that rural youth can key into. So maybe they key in by starting as a rural producer of cassava or tomatoes groundnut, and you have those tech savvy youths who may aggregate those products or process those products, it doesn't mean that we're leaving anybody behind, but it's that we have more young people creating opportunities for other young people using technology. And I think that that's the way to go. Yes, there are funds available. Not everybody is going to get those funds, to be fair. We have to be honest with ourselves on that. But what we can do is make sure that for those who get those funds, they're the ones creating jobs for the others, so that as the others can at least start to make an income for themselves, they can also start to go up the ladder, climb out of economic crisis or poverty, and they can also start to invest in themselves and invest their profits into expansion. So I think we need to also look at the system in a way in which there's growth. So we don't also just leave the smallholder farmers to be small forever, but give them opportunities to grow and scale. And that is where technologies come in to play. Like I said earlier, biotechnologies, improved seedlings, hardwares, softwares, aggregation, online sales and the likes. We just open the door for more opportunities for people.
Thank you so much, Angel, for expanding on that. I want to believe that youth are learning new ways and will incorporate this as they venture into agriculture. Thank you so much. My next question will be to Aisha from Farms to You. Aisha, you're working around digital extension services, which is quite an interesting area in the agricultural space, especially in Nigeria. Can you tell us how you are able to get the buy-in of the communities you work in to use these digital extension services, and also how you are able to engage youths to be part of your business? Thank you.
Sure. First of all, in terms of buy-in of communities, so the approach we take in going into new communities is working with community leaders, and not going there being a know-it-all, but going there, trying to, in as much as you want to give knowledge, also be ready to receive knowledge. There are lots of local practices, farming practices that are still very, very beneficial and much more economical and efficient when you talk about the use of resources in comparison to Western practices. So for instance, things like mulching, they're a lot more impactful than when you're tilling the soil, which has evidence of tilling. We are aware that has an impact on climate change. So going into communities, working with community leaders, but being respectful that you're not the superior knowledge, and creating a collaborative environment. It's a symbiotic relationship where you're helping them, they're helping you. How do you get the youth buy-in? So a lot of things that we're doing is the brand imaging, which is why we're focusing on 18 to 35-year-old farmers. I mean, if you're outside of that age group, i.e. you're older than 35, we wouldn't say, oh, you can't work with us, or we're not going to ban you from using the platform or anything like that. But in terms of building, that's the image we have in mind: 18 to 35-year-old, a young person, digitally savvy, wants to be economically independent, and changing the narrative that being a farmer is, you're old, you're uneducated, you're poor. That has been the narrative very much in sub-Saharan Africa, not just in Nigeria, in much of the region. Farmers are considered poor, but then lots of farmers use the money from farming to send their kids to school. So, it's a bit of a counterintuitive narrative, and it's one that we're working to change. So getting youth buy-in is by engaging them. There's something that Farms to You actually does. We just finished the second edition. It's called the Food for Thought Challenge, where we run an article competition with cash prizes of $100. We're going to be looking to increase that for our next edition, where we essentially get graduate and undergraduate students to write an article on farming and how to use how digital plays a role, and the youth play a role in making agriculture more effective, economic in the sub-Saharan African region. So things like that help young people to think, okay, when I graduate, I could go into farming, through that develop digital skills, maybe work on the farm for a bit, develop digital skills from that, and I could actually start a fleet of tractor services, or I could go into processing and start a plant. But yeah, just creating those job opportunities. And like Angel made a point earlier about people moving from rural areas to the urban areas. Again, there aren't enough jobs in the urban areas. It's about, creating jobs in those rural areas. Overcrowding is something that we're already seeing in cities like Lagos, and the infrastructure is just not efficient. So it's about trying to get young people to see the opportunities within their own communities and incentivizing them to stay to build within those communities.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for sharing those practical steps with us. I really like the idea of the food for thought challenge that you are throwing to young people. I think that's commendable, and a lot of youths in agribusiness can do that in their communities, in the schools around them, to ensure that from the secondary schools we get youths already thinking about owning farms and playing big in the agricultural space. Thank you so much. My next question will be to Ladipo. Ladipo, an interesting question on the comment section, but I'm going to ask you directly. So how did you systemize your business process, and what did you take to raise the funds to get started? I think this is your answer would actually provide a lot of clarity and a lot of insights. Also, did you receive any coaching or mentorship, or did you just jump off the cliff to start doing business in agriculture? Thank you so much. I look forward to your response. Ladipo, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So when I look back at the journey, it was definitely very challenging and daunting at the beginning, right? Especially because there were more unknowns than knowns. There were so many things I felt like, we didn't know. So from technical questions around granule, shelf life, you literally start out with a list of things you don't know. And I remember then I would spend so much time on Google, whenever you just imagine Googling granite, and then you had this entire world of data. And, it was almost like going down a rabbit hole. You first of all read about shelf life, and then you read about this mytoxin, and it's just like, I remember there were a lot of days when I would just come out feeling frustrated. Like I kept on having even more questions that I didn't understand. So, but however, there was something we had done right in that we had limited the scope, execution wise, it was clear what we wanted to do. So, specifically, the very first step we took was, we made a batch of peanuts, at home. It was about 12 packs, and we took it to the lady that was right outside my estate. Some lady who's, had like a kiosk, and we gave it to her and said, Madam, sell it. If it sells, we'll come back and collect the money. And I remember going back there, after a few hours, and she had sold half of it, and that was definitely very encouraging. And so that was sort of the initial traction. And so on an operational side, it was clear we were trying to produce more of this and sell more of this. And so we got, hand sealers, and we kind of, increased our output and literally put the product in the car, go store to store, talk to people. And there was sort of in that sense, month on month, we would sort of see the product spread. So what I would sort of say worked is we definitely focused in terms of execution, do what you can, start from the known to the unknown. There's always going to be a lot of things you don't know. And with time, you would know more and you would feel less overwhelmed. But, not knowing should not be the reason you are stuck. Or you shouldn't be so overwhelmed that you can't move, right? Which is the real risk, is that you feel like, well, where do I go from here? Always trying to reduce it back to what is it that I know. So it reminds me of, for instance, school, where you're given a math problem and there's find X, find Y. And the first question is always, what is it that we know? And how do we build from there? I know the question had two parts. What was the second part? Dara. Hello.
Hello. The second question I asked was receiving coaching for your business. What kind of programs did you use to learn more on operating your business well?
Yes. And I remember you had asked something about structure. Yes. In terms of coaching, I mean, to be honest, we always got advice from here and there. But the truth is, I feel like coaching can become a crutch for doing what you have to do. Like, there's no coaching to be an entrepreneur. That's the honest truth. There are also no classes. I mean, they will help. They will maybe give you 10% of what you need, in my opinion, right? But a lot of it is you getting in the game and literally taking a beating and not quitting and learning from that. Get advice when you can. But if I tell you what to do, I'm not going to follow you to go and do it. And I'm not going to follow you to take the 100 no's. So when you're taking the 100 no's and your plans are not playing the way you plan, well, how do you respond? So my position is a bit different from, I feel like there was a point in my career when I was so big on looking for a mentor, and that was almost the business. That was almost the job. And real valuable mentors are busy. They don't have a lot of time. So you might get, 10, maybe an hour of their time. But if you're not able to execute or leverage their advice, chances are they're not going to be there subsequently. So even they are looking for you to execute and, look at the results you're pushing, right? So definitely, look for advice. And I think the more relevant to your industry, the better. So if there's somebody who's trying to do what you've done, they can tailor it more to what you need. The more specific you are, if you come to someone and says, hey, how do I do NAFTA? That they can give you something that you take away that will actually move your business forward. So you need to get specific and clear and also focus on what it is you're trying to do. Then also you had asked about systems. I mean, I can only speak for myself. In terms of systems, it's a very iterative process, right? So, we tried different systems. Sometimes it was a software that might have been too cumbersome for the stage we were at. Sometimes you find that, look, Excel is able to achieve what you need at that stage of your business. Even with Excel, you're constantly modifying because your business is evolving. So maybe today you're tracking data around sales, and then you realize you have 4 new product lines. You have to differentiate that. So, systems a lot of times are very specific to your own case. And you have to, so you might not be able to pick up a system off the shelf. But the simple version of that is start somewhere, track data, get data. We have data from the very first sale that we made. And, sometimes you take in too much data and you realize, okay, look, your organization cannot handle that type of data. You kind of prioritize. But building systems is iterative and it's also very important because it's what allows you scale. I don't know if I was able to answer that fully, Dara.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Thank you so much, Ladipo.
Yeah,
I see some questions around employing agri-tech to create market access. I'm also seeing questions around are there platforms available to connect farmers and entrepreneurs to markets? One assignment for everyone on this call is to actually read up on everybody on this panel discussion, from AFEX to Farms to You to Angel Adelaja to Tribe Agric to Ladipo of Mr. Ekpa. If you read up on them, you see that agriculture itself is very offline, despite the fact that technology is being used to make sure that the business is operated in a smooth manner. Technology is an enabler of business, despite the fact that all these businesses employ the use of technology. There's a huge on-the-ground work that is going on. There's a huge underground work that's going on. And in terms of market access, there are lots of food processors, there are lots of industries that require raw materials from the farm. And these food processes, so long as they exist, there will be a quick market access. Even you and I, we always eat. We are already market access because we would have to buy Mr. Ekpa from the shelves in ShopRite, So that market access is there. But then talking about systems that Lawani was speaking on, those systems in place done by market actors and youth in agriculture in ensuring that there's a sustainable sourcing and also there's a sustainable connection between the farmers and the market actors as well as the processors are all put in place by businesses like this to ensure that they exist. So I would say read a lot, read wide. There is nothing new in this discussion, but I'm happy that we're able to share ideas and innovations on how we're able to walk around the agricultural ecosystem. Thank you so much once again to everyone joining. It's time for me to hand over control to Halima Rabiu from the Enterprise Development Center to give us a presentation on what the center is doing on in agriculture and how we can be a part of it as youth. Over to you, Halima.
All right, thank you very much, Dara. Can I just share my screen quickly? Good afternoon, everyone. It's such an interesting panel discussion that we're having. Thank you for having us once again. So I'm Halima with the Enterprise Development Center. So the EDC, we're a training institute, and we build the capacity of young entrepreneurs, startups, and small businesses alike on how to build structures within their businesses. So as Dara mentioned, that we have the Transforming Nigerian Youth Program, which is a capacity building program, a free capacity building program in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. And the aim of this program is to provide capacity building access to market opportunities for youth between ages 18 to 35 who have an interest in the agricultural sector or the creative sector as well. So like I mentioned, it's for MSMEs in both sectors with special focus on Lagos, Kano, and Kaduna. So we know that most of the time that we have more youths within those three sectors, within those three states who have this need for capacity building. So the aim is to train 40,000 MSMEs with special focus, like I mentioned, in the two sectors. And so far, we're currently in the second year, and we have trained over 32,000 people so far on the capacity building. So the training is purely done online through a learning management system, whereby you learn modules in terms of how to put structures within your business. So we have modules such as marketing for your business, how to the right legal structures for your business, and strategies that you can develop for your business and what have you. And at the end of the day, you have compulsory courses that you can take, which are the management courses, and some elective courses as well. And the aim of the whole thing is for you to actually go on with a growth plan. At the end of the time, at the end of the day, you have a growth plan whereby it's like a mini business plan document where you can actually reflect on some of those things that have been taught within the various modules, and you can also make it more personalized to either your new startup venture or your currently existing business as well. And of course, we have also a complementary support as well through the IVR, that is the interactive voice response system. So this is a short code that you actually dial on your phone, and you can actually access learning on the go free of charge as well. So just a short code that you dial, and you're able to listen to the management courses online through your phone. So it doesn't even have to be a smartphone. It can be any non-smartphone that you can actually use to access this. And that particular IVR component is actually in 3 languages. So it's in English, Hausa, and Pidgin. And we're currently working on other languages as well. So in the program is actually for a duration of 3 months, and it also depends on how an individual actually performs. So the application process is quite simple. There's an application form that you have to fill. Once you just fill that, within a period of 6 days, you'll be onboarded on the platform to start learning. And then you have a period of 2 weeks to actually start, at least do 1 or 2 courses so that we can see you're active on the platform. And then you'll have an opportunity to actually be shortlisted for the next phase of the program. And the next phase of the program, it consists of access to one-on-one business support services through a business development support provider. And the business development support provider is going to provide one-on-one support for you as a business and as an individual. So be it you're having challenges within a particular sector. Maybe, for example, you need to register your business and you haven't done so. So the BDSP is able to identify that as one of your challenges and then actually prefer that as one of the support that he or she would like to provide for you. And then we actually do that on your behalf, free of charge as well. And the market access opportunities as well. So as one of the components of the program, we know that it's not just enough to give you the training, but we also have to have visibility for you as a business as well. So one of the components that we also provide is access to market. So we have monthly exhibitions, both online and offline, whereby you're able to showcase your products and services, and people actually come for the marketplace event and actually buy from you. So we're creating access to market. And some of the personalized support we also provide is such as incentives, such as free business websites for you as an individual business. If that's one of the identified fields, you actually can do that. Free Instagram packages and things like that. And of course, we have access to information. So we're working with various partners on the project as well. So such as the banking institutions and also financial institutions that provide funding for small businesses as well. So we provide a platform for those kind of information sessions for youth on the program. So the learning platform, like I mentioned, is accessible through your phone or your laptop. So it's easy to use. And this is what the platform looks like. And some of the incentives, like I mentioned, is a free website. This was one of the websites that was developed on the site. And of course, like I mentioned, the access to market opportunity. So one of the other components of the program is that we also have competitions that youth can participate in. So this is for the creative sector. Specifically for the agricultural sector, we have the Agro-Hack challenge. So this is a residential challenge whereby different groups it can be from any part of Nigeria actually, that have solutions, innovative solutions for the agri value chain, specifically in Lagos, Kano, and Kaduna. They can actually apply for this, and you get an opportunity to actually go through the residential bootcamp, as well as have one-on-one business advisory sessions with experts, as well as pitch the business idea and actually have an opportunity to actually get seed funding for that idea. So this is one of the competitions, like I mentioned. So just how to get started. So if you're age 18 to 35 and you have an interest in agriculture, all you have to do is apply through a short code link. So I'll share that in the chat box, or if you have your phone, you can actually just scan this barcode right here. I don't know if I would have any time for questions, but I can always leave my contact details in the chat box in case I may not have time for questions. Thank you very much. Dara, so over to you.
Thank you very much, Halima, for sharing this presentation with us. I encourage all youths on this platform to connect with Halima and her team and be a part of what they're doing. Thank you so much. I'll advise everyone, if you don't have the ComX app on your phone, the link has been posted. Download the ComX app. It's a platform where you can trade commodities. That's an easy way to be part of the agricultural value chain by investing your money in trading agricultural commodities. Once you buy a commodity, a farmer's life is touched, definitely. Thank you so much, everyone. I see there is not so many questions on the platform anymore. I'm going to go around our panelists to give us one word of advice before we log off. So I would like to start from Aisha. Aisha, please, can you just give us one word of advice before we log off? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So I think my one piece of advice is yes, agriculture can seem very daunting and challenging if you're trying to address all the problems at once. So I think it's good to have focus. Dara made a point. I think if COVID has taught us anything, we can't do without food, we can't do without health. So it's about finding how to work collaboratively and not be an island. Agriculture is too big for the problems in the industry to be solved by one person. So my takeaway is to address the problems in bite sizes and to collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Can we go to Angel? Angel Adelaja, over to you, please. We don't have Angel on the call at the moment. Can we go to Ayo? Ayo?
I think my advice, yeah. I think I'll just say everyone should get involved. There's lots of opportunities. It's still day zero as far as innovation is concerned in agriculture. So I think just do anything essentially, even if it means you're starting as an aggregator, you want to run a factory, you want to provide machinery services. There's lots of opportunities, and I think you will not be those who get in early enough. So definitely get involved. And I mean, there is, just as Aisha said, there's lots of opportunities to collaborate. No one can figure it out by themselves. So meet your people, connect, just figure out how to collaborate with everyone essentially. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. Can we move over to Ladipo?
Yes. So I would say, look, it's very interesting time for agriculture. As I said, it's day one. But what I'm starting to see is that, multiple different players are starting to emerge that make it easier. So you have people like Ayo doing Thrive, you have people like Kobo 360, you have people like Aisha who are solving different pieces of the puzzle. A while ago, it was one person trying to, one trying to fix transport, and one trying to fix finance, and one trying to fix seeds. But what you're starting to have is an ecosystem emerging. A lot of technology is also being leveraged. And so there's a good chance that the future is going to be very exponential. And so you don't want to miss that. If it's something you're curious about, definitely get involved. Because I do think, this is the generation that will get it right.
Thank you, Ladipo. Thank you so much. This is the generation that'll get it right, I believe so. And I also like to speak to everyone on this call. I work with the Feed the Future Nigeria Agribusiness Investment Activity as Regional Agribusiness Officer. And we also work with youth. We work in the rice, maize, soybean, cowpea, and aquaculture value chain. And we work in Kaduna, Niger, Benue, Kebbi, Delta, Ebonyi, and Cross River. And we've been helping lots of businesses to access finance and investment. We've been working with government actors to improve on policies. And we've also been building the performance of agribusiness SMEs. So if you're working in one of these states or the value chains, I would say you should connect with us on the Feed the Future Agribusiness Investment Activity. Is a 5-year USAID funded project, and we're currently in our year 4. I look forward to connecting with young people, and I would like to see you part of our programs. And also, thank you once again, everyone, for joining this webinar. Thank you to all our panelists. Thank you, Ladipo Lawani. Thank you, Aisha Rahim Bolarinwa. Thank you, Ayodeji Arikawe. Thank you, Angel Adelaja, and thank you to everyone who asked questions and everyone who is on this call. Thank you for your time. I also want to encourage you that you should follow the speakers' activities and also connect with them to see how you can be a part of their business. I believe it's been an insightful session, an educative session today. I hope you learned something. I learned a lot, and I'm very encouraged to see youths taking the bull by the horn and doing great things in agriculture. You can follow ComX on all their social media platforms, ComX by Afex, and don't forget to download the app and be a part of the investors who are currently trading on the Afex platform. Thank you once again to everyone. Thank you for making a difference, and thank you for joining this webinar. Have a wonderful day ahead. and have fun. Thank you.